Hi, welcome back to OD YouTube channel. Today is 3rd of December, so we'll go to the third ink of the Diamine Inkvent Calendar Black Edition 2024. So let's see what we have here. And it's green. I like green inks. And it is Noble Fur. Sorry, I'm not that good with some kind of this kind of flattering, and the ink is Star Bright. I don't know what really it means. I didn't open the last two Inkvent calendars, so I don't know much about some other descriptions, but it clearly has some particles. So let's see, maybe it's a variant of a shimmer ink. Maybe you'll know more about that than I do, so we'll see it next when I'll do the swatch and all the rest of the review. So let's make the swatch. Maybe too much ink. This looks like a very thick ink. Let me just cap these. I need to. And now with a knife. Lots of shimmer. I think you can see a very fine, and look at that. It's kind of beautiful. But I have to say that apparently this kind of green is a little bit too on the cold side for me, although here in the middle it looks like warmer. And the glitter is a cooler tone. So I'm not sure. I really think I need to let this dry and then I will talk. I think it doesn't matter to talk now before it dries up. So, but look at that. Really nice to watch, at least when it's this wet. When it's written, I don't know. Okay, forget about it. I'll be back when this is dry for comparisons, and I will pick up the pens to use this ink in. And here we have the ready ink swatch. Sorry, my brain stopped there. And I have to say, this is one of the most amazing inks I ever saw, in my opinion. It has such a strong shimmer on it. You can see it has these silver tones, but if the lighting is more warm, they will get warmer tone. It's very beautiful. You have very heavy shimmer like that, but when you direct it to the light, you'll see the shimmer is completely crazy. This is really crazy shimmer, and I think that's why this ink may be a problem in some pens. We'll talk about that in a moment. So this is the pen, the ink swatch, and let's just see how it compares with some other inks. And the inks I have here for comparison are two inks from the 2019 Inkvent Calendar. I think this green ink is very similar. The 2019 Day 11, which was the Elf, it is very similar, and there is also the Holly, but the Holly has some very heavy sheen, and the green has some cooler tone to it. I also have here some other ink samples. I have the Lamy Green, which is also very similar, maybe a little bit lighter. We have the Pelican Edelstein Aventurine, which is kind of similar but colder. We have the Parker Quink Green, which is also very similar, but they are talking about the vintage one, not the regular one. And I have here also Herbin Lierre Sauvage, and it is a warmer tone of green and more saturated. So they are all different. I would say the most similar is the Diamine Inkvent Calendar 2019, Day 11, the Elf. Again, this is just amazing. If we want to look at the chromatography, we'll have to see what we have here. And what we have is an ink that has a baseline with almost no color, and almost all this color is the shimmer particles. So all the color was washed away, and it is something between like a yellow and blue. That is the mix of this color, and all went up. So no water resistance besides the shimmer line, which is not really that useful for retrieving some information that got wet. But actually this is not made to be wet, so that's what it is. Let's go for the pens that I chose. I have here the two pens again. This is the Jinhao X159 with the big number 8 nib. This one is a fine nib, as you may see, and it is avocado green color. It is a cartridge converter. You can see all the shimmer there. Cartridge converter pen, and it's quite nice. I like it. I had my black one getting a crack there. This one doesn't have any problem so far. I also have another pen that was on the two previous Inkvent calendars, the two previous that I made, the other two I didn't. This is a pen that I bought at flea market in very, very bad shape. I just tried to recover what I could. Even the nib was damaged, and I tried to straighten it. So this is the Faber-Castell Basic, and it is a basic pen, very heavy, cartridge converter pen. It has a converter inside, and the shimmer is all there on the bottom of the pen. And this one has, a broad nib. I think you can see the B there. So the first pen that I inked with this ink was the Waterman Culture with a fine nib. It is a pen that I really, really love. It's very well made. I like that pen. Plastic pen, very inexpensive, but I really like it. The pen was immediately clogged by this ink. It didn't write. There was no way it wrote. And that pen, I wrote with it a lot for lots of times since I have it, which is, don't know, 20 years now. It's a very reliable pen. It does not like this ink. It doesn't write at all. And even with these pens, sometimes there are some kind of blobs of shimmer coming out. So that's what it is. I would say this is one of the most beautiful inks I ever saw, but maybe this shimmer is too much. They call it star bright, and I understand that, but maybe it is too much shimmer for a regular fountain pen. Now let's see it on the 3, then the 4th paper. We have here the moleskin paper, and you'll see that on moleskin paper the shimmer is visible. You can see there on that kind of a swatch, and even on the writing sample. This was written with the Jinhao, and that one was written with the Faber-Castell. There is not that much difference, although it should be, because they are very different nibs, but I don't find that much difference here in with this ink, in this paper. So I think it writes really well. I like the way it looks on paper. I like the shading. It's not, the places where the ink is lighter are not that light, so the shading is quite nice. It is between a normal and a very heavy tone, so I like that. There is some bleed through as usual, especially on the B-nib on the Faber-Castell, but some places also with the Jinhao. But moleskin paper is not fountain pen friendly. Then we have the Oxford optic paper, which is usually not that good for the shimmer, but you can see it there. Look at the swatch, and now the writing sample, you can also see it. And you can see here, when I started writing with the Faber-Castell, there was lots of sheen there going onto the paper for the first time. I put it down. So you have these. There is almost, again, no difference with the line. And you can see lots of shading, and the ink looks a little bit lighter than on this paper, which is normal because this paper is more absorbent, and also this paper is not white and this one is. On the other side, no bleed through, there's no problem with the behavior of the ink, and you can even still see the shimmer. And now we'll go to the Navigator copy paper, and this is a regular copy paper. There is the shimmer, I'm not sure if I can show it on camera, but there it's there. You can see a little bit with the Jinhao, not that much, but with the Faber-Castell it is amazing. So I would say the way it behaves the best is on this copy paper that is more absorbent, and with the Faber-Castell. It gets almost completely bright white, silver, I'm not sure. It looks like almost a chrome thing. So it's very, very nice. Not that much with the Jinhao, however, I can still see some shimmer. When we turn it on the other side, yes, this paper is very good to see the shimmer, but it's not good at all to write with fountain pens, and you can see there is bleed through all the way. It's even worse than the Moleskine for this particular thing. And for the final writing sample, and this paper is always very similar to the Oxford paper, the behavior, you can see this was written with the Jinhao, and you can see the shimmer on the Rhodia paper. Can you? Okay, now you can. I also made a line with these swirls around and dropped some drops of ink, and you can't really, if you look there, you can't really rebuild the line that you designed first, because it really disappears, and so it's not water resistant at all. The drying time I got was 20 seconds. I have to say that when you're writing and you're making the two little strokes for the seconds, sometimes those little things get more ink because you're pressing, especially harder, not harder, but you press it harder naturally, not an intentional thing. You'll get a little more ink on those two spots, and when you pass your finger on that to make the smear, they smear and the number didn't. So 20-25 seconds to get completely dry. And so let's write with them. Now they are not being used. Let's see how they will behave right away. I wouldn't I would expect some of them to, one of these pens to fail, maybe the Jinhao, but we'll see, maybe it doesn't. So, it didn't. The Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog. So this is, so far, my favorite ink of this Inkvent calendar, but we still have a lot to go. And let's see with the Faber-Castell, the Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog. And let me show you. What I have to say is that I don't think the line width is that different with the Jinhao and the Faber-Castell, but because the Faber-Castell is a B-nib, I don't see that much on the line, but I see on the amount of ink. So it has a much bigger ink flow, and so more ink is put down, and you can see better the shimmer. And this is something that's really useful for many people to know. The important thing for having these properties of the inks are at least the shimmering. It's not, and also the sheen is not really the width of the nib. That's more useful for the shading, not the width of the nib, but especially the amount of ink flow, how wet the pen is. And this is much wetter than and this is quite good, but this one is wetter, although the line is not that different, F and B, not that different on the paper, but this one puts down more ink, and so you see a lot more sheen with the B nib. And so this is what I had to show you. This is my favorite ink regarding the looks of the ink. I'm very skeptical about the way it behaves in pens because my waterman culture wasn't able to deal with it, and it's now soaking in water to try to get rid of the sparkles it still has all over the place. So this is all for today, and we'll meet again tomorrow. Bye!